To the ancestors who bravely crossed vast oceans and endured the weight of cruel chains, whose indomitable spirits never once bowed or faltered under the crushing burden, we raise our voices and speak your sacred name with reverence. Through raging tempests and countless trials, against unimaginable odds, you nurtured and kept the flame alive. A fierce and unwavering fire burning brightly in the darkest nights, whispering your courage and resilience across the endless expanse of time, never fading, never forgotten, always alive within us and forever remembered. The gods softly whispered through the gentle wind, their voices carried and wrapped within the beating rhythms of distant drums, shrouded and veiled in layers of deep, ancient secrecy. Moving silently through the shifting shadows of the dense forest and weaving themselves into sacred songs passed down through generations, their timeless memories come alive once more. These echoes breathe new life into the spirit, stirring within it a profound awakening that connects the soul to a past both hidden away in mystery and undeniably vital to its very existence. This is not mere history. It is remembrance, a spiritual awakening, a fire refused to die. Beneath the dawn's first light, the heartbeat of a people echoes with strength unbroken by time or chains. Before the world was changed by steel and scripture, the Yoruba woods pulsed with Orisha spirits, guiding birth, death, and the journey between. The land itself breathed divinity, one with the soul's rhythm. In Dahomey, worlds merged, ancestors and gods voting side by side. Here, the lines blurred, the visible and invisible entwined, reminding us that power always belonged to those who embraced the unseen. Deep in the Congo, Nkisi artifacts bridged worlds, channeling power between the living and the ancestral spirits. Guardians kept balance through song, ritual, and the sacred wisdom passed down like flame through hands. Elders held the cosmic order in their voices, chants, possession, rituals forming a living philosophy rooted not in books, but in the heartbeat of the land and the breath of its people. Gods of iron, thunder, rivers, and moons, each carried their colors, songs, and stories. These were not mere superstitions, but a profound understanding of the spirit's eternal journey beyond. The body was temporary, but the spirit eternal. Birth and death were crossings, transformations in the dance of creation, guided by unseen hands and sung into life with reverence and power. Spirituality was woven into living, planting, healing, justice, story, every act a prayer, every breath a sacred chant, building invisible cathedrals out of memory, rhythm, and fire beyond stone's cold reach. Null, roll, assistant, hidden charms danced quietly in hair and cloth, carrying ancestral fire across stormy seas. Though captors saw only cargo, they unknowingly transported gods, ghosts, and griots bound not by flesh, but spirit. Mothers whispered incantations in trembling voices, the fragile promise of dawn held in their breaths. Each name spoken silently summoned strength across the roaring ocean, fueling hearts. The Middle Passage was more than trauma. It was a spiritual forge. Souls emerged, not broken, but forged in silent resistance, carrying hidden wisdom encoded in dreams and symbols beneath the waves. In the Americas, African gods wore new names, saints in disguise. Forbidden rituals transformed, their code hidden in hymns and dances, a spiritual rebellion beneath the watchful eyes of colonizers. In Haiti, the drums thundered voodoo, calling spirits to arms in a dance of freedom. Here, faith was weapon and shield, a sacred fire that would ignite the revolution and burn colonial chains to ash. Brazil's candomblé blossomed as a sacred language, each rhythm and chant a coded message, a living archive of gods, surviving beneath imposed faiths, undefeated and ever resilient. Africa's soul would live through disguise and devotion. Even in harsh North America, where erasure was brutal, sacred fusion thrived. Herbs and scripture, ritual and prayer intertwined, forming a healing alchemy that nurtured both body and spirit. In Gullah communities, ring shouts and secret chants preserved memory's flame. Spirituality became a fortress, a whispered resistance far from the colonizer's grasp, rooted deep in ancestral soil. Possession was not simply an act. It was a deliberate and calculated strategy, a form of ritual resistance that served as spiritual warfare. This kind of resistance posed a far greater threat to colonizers than any conventional weapons ever could. The steady, powerful drumbeat echoed like a fierce battle cry, raised by souls who were resolutely determined not just to endure under oppression, but to survive with strength and ultimately thrive despite the chains that sought to bind them. And colonial powers feared this sacred fire and demonized it fiercely. Their laws and sermons tried to crush the spirit, but what is born of ancestors and blood cannot be so easily buried or silenced. Indoctrination aimed to erase identity, books whitewashed histories, churches cast shadows of shame. Yet beneath the silence, the spirit held steady, a quiet blaze refusing to snuff out completely. Elders whispered prayers in secret rooms and remote villages, protecting ancient knowledge. Though threatened, the flame continued quietly, soul to soul, undimmed by time or fear. The body may forget, but memory lives in bones and dreams. Generations silenced bore the cost, yet through dreams and blood flows a remembrance, awakening new light and hunger for truths once hidden. Today, across the diaspora, spirit rises anew. Brooklyn basements glow with altars, youthful voices call out to Orisha names, reconnecting not just blood but soul to a sacred inheritance long buried, now reclaimed. In Paris, candles flicker on tiny altars to ancestors, quiet storms of remembrance, new generations seeking old roots, lighting hidden fires that cross oceans and centuries with a single breath. On the digital frontier, elders transmit sacred ways, teaching ancient Ifal wisdom through screens and in person, ensuring that distance and time cannot sever the ancestral lineage woven through each lesson. Across continents, young souls dance with drums that echo ancient calls, the rhythm of a spiritual heartbeat renewed, reclaiming the sacred not as relic, but as living, breathing birthright of their lives. Rituals that were once prohibited and suppressed are now reappearing with vibrant energy, boldly reclaiming the spaces they were forced to leave behind. These sacred cloths hold within them soft, whispered prayers and the weight of ancestral legacy, their fibers intertwined with the strength and perseverance of those who weave them. Every thread is a testament to resilience, meticulously passed down through generations of hands that steadfastly refuse to forget their heritage or allow it to be erased or overlooked. Lighting a candle stands as a profound declaration of survival, a silent yet powerful testament that amidst challenges and darkness, life persists and hope endures. To pour a libation is more than a mere ritual. It is a solemn and reverent act of claiming one's inheritance, a sacred bridge that reaches back across time. This ritual reconnects us intimately with the generations that came before, anchoring us firmly in the rich, fertile soil of our ancestors. It binds us to the unbroken, eternal current of spirit that flows ceaselessly through the ages, linking past and present in a continuum of memory, honor, and sacred recognition. A young girl in Harlem lifts her flame to Yamaya, a signal that the line is unbroken, that the spirit thrives in the heartbeats of youth, demanding remembrance and rebirth across city streets. In Louisiana, an elder blends Earth's medicine with scripture, crafting an alchemy of healing and defiance. Here, faith intertwines, and the sacred breathes in every whispered prayer and leafy remedy. In Bahia, every step of the dancer calls Ogun, the god of iron and war. The movement itself is invocation, a living drumbeat linking flesh to spirit and past to future in a sacred spiral of power. We are not orphans of history, but descendants of divinity. The spirits watch as we reclaim our stories, walking boldly in the light our ancestors ignited centuries. The altar glows, not just with candles, but with survival. The sacred lives here, breathed into every prayer and libation, an unbroken covenant written not in ink, but in fire and soul. Across continents, the sacred river flows through young hands drumming, voices singing, feet dancing, a vibrant resurgence of ancient energies, rising strong, reclaiming roots, recounting histories untold. African spirituality is a river, eternal, flowing, crossing eras and oceans. We carry it in names, bones, and dreams, a sacred current, weaving diaspora into an unbreakable chain of remembrance and power. This journey home is soul work, a rebirth. Family and spirit intertwined, stories and songs build bridges that no colonizer's hand could sever. Ancestral fires burning bright allow the drums to resound once more. Each powerful beat serving as a secret code of remembrance, a compelling summons to awaken and transcend the heavy weight of silence and the deep-rooted shame. The flames flicker and sway again within hallowed places where the spirit of the individual and the strength of the community intertwine, glowing brightly and undiminished despite the passing of countless centuries. Light a candle, pour libation. These simple yet profound acts serve as bold declarations of survival, powerful affirmations of our existence and resilience. They are sacred claims, asserting our rightful inheritance and connection to those who came before us. The sacred walks quietly yet unmistakably among us, weaving itself into the fabric of our daily lives, breathing life through the stories we tell and carry forward. It revives ancient legacies and ancestral memories, ensuring they remain alive and vibrant, untouched and unbroken by the passage of time or the forces that might seek to erase them. As we rise, so rise the spirits born by ancestors' breath. This covenant, forged in fire and faith, becomes the foundation of a future shaped by power, remembrance, and unbreakable unity. The hidden history was never gone, only hidden. Now the veil lifts. Through halls, temples, homes, the ancient fire burns still, a testament to surviving souls and awakened legacies. The spirit lives. The fire that crossed oceans still burns bright. This is remembrance, power, and return, an eternal dance of souls claiming their birthright beneath endless skies.